let's talk a little bit about football. We're covering the game on Astro Super Sport this weekend, so Rob Lee has actually provided me a few questions. He's wondering, what is your preferred formation?
Well, I think it's vitally important a club like ours has the ability to adapt to who you're playing against. So I've always said from day one, I'd like to be in a position to play two up top. Now, whether that's playing with a back three or a back four, but I think the ability to change is enormous. I don't think you can just have one way. Look, we'd all love to play a certain way and say we're going to beat everybody else out of sight and we're going to play this way, which the top teams do. I think we have to have the ability to change. And I don't really have a preferred choice, but I have one or two which we go to, which whoever we're playing against.
It's not round pegs and square holes at all, is it? Are you trying to make everything fit with the personnel you have?
No, not at all. No, I think, look, if we take on Chelsea and play the way Chelsea play and have the two full-backs high and three up the top end of the pitch, the way they play, then unfortunately we would come unstuck. Because at the end of the day, the top teams have got better players than what we have. What we have to do is try and find a way to play against them where defensively you have to be right and thoroughly well organised, but also the ability to make sure that you're a threat at the other end of the pitch. Now, we managed that against Chelsea twice last year. We lost at Stamford Bridge, unfortunately, and we managed to beat them at St James's Park. So, you know, it's always going to be difficult, but you know, I do believe we do need that defensive organisation if we're going to get anything at all.
Well, that's the balance, isn't it? Because football is so statistically driven nowadays. Newcastle...
Statistically, and by the way, getting that balance, look, if you've got the best team going forward and you've got the best team defensively, you've got the best team in the league. So we're all looking for that balance. And of course, you know, but as I said, I think the gap in the Premier League now is bigger than it's ever been. When you see the ability of Chelsea to pay, you know, 250, 300 million on 5-6 new players, tells you what you're up against. So we have to have something up our sleeve to try and match them and give them a game. And that's what the Premier League is. That's how it's difficult for the top teams, because everybody's trying to come up with a plan to play against them and make it as difficult as we can against them.
Oh, well, speaking of having a wild card up your sleeve, I'm fascinated by Alan SAINT-MAXIMIN. And I looked back at the history of Newcastle. I grew up watching Tino Asprilla, Ginola, Ben Arthur in more recent years, Keegan back in the day. There's always been those mercurial players for the Toon.
Well, I said from day one that the Newcastle supporters are going to enjoy watching them because of exactly what you said is the mentality here that people hang on to and look forward to watching them. And he's certainly one of those where he can do the unpredictable. He can win you a game. He's still got a long way to go. He's only young, but certainly he's certainly a talent. And we hope that Chelsea at the weekend, that we hope on the biggest stage that Alan can give us that threat, which we know he can cause teams. And he can cause the problems that he can cause.
Just for having a player at a club like Newcastle, how important is it for the fans to have a talisman? Not specifically for the Chelsea game, but in general, I mean.
Well, of course, it's always to have a talisman. And Newcastle has made a history of it. You know, back in my day, it was Super Mac. You know, Malcolm MacDonald and Jimmy Smith they were the ones I enjoyed watching most. And that goes for any club, but certainly in Newcastle it's certainly highlighted with somebody who's a bit different, a bit of a maverick that Geordie seemed to enjoy better than anything. And of course, to have that, you have a bit of talent to go with it, and the ability to lift people off their seats when they watch. And certainly Alan, I think Alan's missed the supporters. He thrives off the support he gets, and of course, we all know that the supporters aren't allowed in the stadium at the moment, but he certainly enjoys the adulation that he gets.
Speaking of supporters, can you explain to the international audience, like I'm Malaysian. I've had the privilege of going to the UK frequently to cover matches, so I can understand your affinity for Newcastle. But for those that don't understand how much it means for you to be at the club, can you just explain it?
Well, I mean, look, I was born and bred here. I'm from where I sit at the moment, the training ground, and my family lived a mile away. My wife lives half a mile away, and my sister-in-law lives across the road. It's where I was born and where I was bred, and in my childhood was supporting Newcastle United. I was like any other kid in the northeast. We all went to the match on a Saturday to support the town, and that's been the same and not changed even throughout my career. It was still the first game I'd look for. Result was, how did Newcastle get on? Did Newcastle win? How they do and where they are? And so once you're a supporter of it, then of course it stays with you like no other. And I've been away a long time, and I had the opportunity in 2004 to come and manage the club at the time, and decided that it wasn't quite right at the time, and I probably regretted that for years. So to have the opportunity again has been terrific, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's difficult, don't get me wrong, very difficult at times, but I've thoroughly enjoyed the challenge of a great club that it is.
Has it been your biggest challenge, though, winning over the Newcastle fans? I'm looking at the results. You finished in the exact same position as the season before you joined, and it's been a very positive start so far, now that you've been able to splash the cash.
Well, I think the most important thing was I was walking in and following a manager who was very popular. And I said at the time, look, please judge me on results. I'm not Rafa Benitez, and I haven't won a Champions League, but I'll do my utmost for the club to try and take it forward and make sure that I steady the ship. There was an uproar, unfortunately, when Rafa left, and my job was to then calm the waters if I could, and make sure that we don't go into a downward spiral, like a lot of people predicted. So now it's about building on a steady start. I think we've had a steady start. We were awful last time out. However, we've got a big game at the weekend. We've had a decent start, and it's important now over this next period. I believe now internationals have gone. Now is the real nitty gritty. We've got 10 games in something like 5.5 weeks, which is a big ask. So it's all about the winter months and getting on it. And now we're in the nitty gritty of it. Can we produce a few more results?
Yeah, my respect for you, I'll admit, went up quite significantly after talking to Alex Bruce, your son. Had a long conversation about you and Newcastle and your love for it, and to have it from a family member's perspective, not from you, but from someone else, was really something, and it's quite eye-opening, really.
Yeah, I mean, look, and my son's got to an age now where even he now is a big Newcastle fan. So he knows and he associates. Look, his grandparents are from Newcastle, so every time he was a kid he came here, and it was always of course, it was always the Newcastle result. So it's been bred into it, and I think he knows what it means to me to have had the opportunity to manage it, and that I'll be for extremely grateful, and I still hope that I can do a decent enough job to make sure that we keep plodding along.
Certainly. How do you like to relax away from football? I mean, it can't be 24/7. You have family, yes. And I was thinking back on this. It's about 21 years ago since you published your books.
Well, there won't be any more. There won't be any more of them, because in lockdown, I think they got a mention on national radio here.
Did they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, unfortunately, which they've made them a bit of a cult thing. Is that the right word? A bit of a sort of a Mickey take, which were intended at the time. They didn't go down too well at the time, but now they're clamouring for them, and apparently they're worth a bit of money if you can get your hands on one. So if you get your hands on one, send them back to me. No, I won't be doing anything like that. How do I relax now? Well, look, it's been difficult times for everybody concerned now, but look, it's a beautiful day in the northeast today, and I plan after the interview to go home and get my dog and walk along the beach. Find a beach which is not crowded, and just I try and get away with like normal other people. I like to have a bit of dinner, go to the cinema. I don't really do much these days, but that's the way it is. You have to switch off, otherwise if it engulfs you too much, then you can't see the wood from the trees.
Yeah, I was just hoping that you had sweeper, you had striker, defender. Maybe you'll have gaffer as the next book.
Well, there's a possibility. There's a possibility of certainly writing a book. I think a lot of people have asked me, and a serious one. I did an autobiography a long time ago and didn't give it enough time. I think if you're going to write a book, and look, I've been at some big clubs and got a story to tell. So I think if I'm going to go into it, maybe when the end of my career and when you've got time to have a look and reflect, maybe if it's worth a read, then I'll probably do one then.
All right. Well, so I just have to say, it's been a privilege for me to talk to you. My wife studied in Newcastle for 5 years. She's always said how warm the people are from there. I visited Newcastle. I agree completely. And you've lived up to the billing of being a local boy yourself.
Thank you very much. One thing you're right about, by the way, the people of the Northeast, there's nobody better. There's no one better. They find it tough and work hard, and they are incredible people up here.
And I'll add in, I think the Liverpool people are also very, very close.
Yeah, you can say that. You can say that, but I agree with you. But with me red side of Manchester, I've got to be careful with that one. That's for sure.
Well, there are Everton fans there as well.
Yes, of course.
All the best for the rest of the season and this weekend, of course. Speak to you soon.
Thank you very much.